Victorian Football League Grand Final, 1959.
Good evening, everyone. At the Melbourne Cricket Ground this afternoon, 103,506 people saw Melbourne win the 1959 Victorian Football League Grand Final by defeating Essendon by 37 points. The final scores were Melbourne 17 goals, 13 behinds, 115 points, to Essendon 11 goals, 12 behinds, 78 points. The best players for Melbourne were Barassi, McLean, Dixon, Bob Johnson, Case, Jones and Lord. Essendon's best Shearman, Hebbard, Burt, Sewell, Clark, Fraser and Eppes. For Melbourne, Rowath and Barassi each kicked 4 goals, Adams and Bob Johnson 3 each, and 1 goal each to Tunbridge, Ridley and Mann. For Essendon, principal goal kicker was Sewell with 4, Clark, Shaw and Evans each kicked 2, and Fraser 1. It was Melbourne's 6th successive Grand Final and their 4th premiership win in 5 seasons, and certainly was a remarkably fine achievement. The first half was a very even struggle. Essendon led by 13 points at quarter time, but in the second quarter Melbourne came right back, kicking 7 goals, and at half-time Melbourne led by 3 points, 8-5 to 7-8. Right through the third quarter it was anybody's game, until with about 6 minutes to go before the third quarter siren, Melbourne really hit their top, and this is what happened.
And from the bounce it's picked up by Mann of Melbourne. Screws his kick around, looking for Ridley, but in comes Shearman, and Shearman gets up on the back of Ridley, punches the ball right away. Ridley's in the thick of things again, gets a hand pass, here's a chance for Melbourne, the ball's knocked up towards the full forward zone. Bob Johnson leads out in front of Leake and brings down the mark. A beautiful pass from Mann, straight into the arms of Bob Johnson, and Johnson has the opportunity for Melbourne. The big fellow, he's only about 20 yards out and on a very slight angle. This will level the scores if Johnson kicks it. There he comes. The big fellow gets his kick at goal for Melbourne, and through it goes. Both flags, a goal to Melbourne, kicked by Bob Johnson, and the scores are level. Melbourne 9 goals, 10 behind, 64 points. Essendon 9-10, 64.
And play in this quarter has been in progress almost 25 minutes. The score's level, and this third quarter only about 5 minutes away from being over. Now back in the centre, listen to the roar from the crowd, a mighty roar all round as Essendon go forward. Little Bert's got the ball, he's dashing downfield with it, sends it up towards the full forward position where Beckwith goes for it. Out comes Evans, he's backed up by Fraser. Fraser is caught with the ball, will be penalised, and the free kick will go to Adams of Melbourne. Adams to take the free kick for Melbourne. He has it on Essendon centre half forward position, and he comes now. He's looking for Fenton Smith. There's the kick coming out towards the tall Melbourne follower, and he brings down the mark nicely for Melbourne. Fenton Smith with the ball. He's looking for a lead here up on Melbourne's right half forward flank. There it is, coming from Laidlaw. He couldn't hold it. Barassi's there to back him up though. Barassi drives the ball up to Johnson. The big fellow goes for it and brings it down again for Melbourne. Here's Johnson with the ball again. About 20 yards out, and has a chance to score his third goal and put Melbourne in front. Leake on the mark as Johnson comes in. There's the shot, and through it goes. It's a goal to Melbourne, and they've hit the front once again. Melbourne move on to 10-10. Melbourne move on to 10-10. Essendon are 9-10. Melbourne holding a 1-goal advantage, and they've just started the time-on period in the third quarter.
Back in the centre again for the bounce. Melbourne a goal in front, and there's the bounce of the ball. Knocked away by Mackey in the ruck, but picked up by Dixon. Dixon's kick rebounds, taken by McLean. McLean gets his kick for Melbourne and sends Melbourne forward again, up towards the half-forward flank. But in defence it's Eppes of Essendon who gathers in the ball. Eppes boots the ball back up towards the centre of the ground, and here the mark is taken quite confidently by Burgess. Burgess marking between centre and centre half back for Essendon. A beautiful long kick from Reg Burgess up towards centre half forward. Jack Clark flies that time with the best of them. Comes to the ground, picked up by Beckwith. Beckwith gets his kick for Melbourne, booting it up towards the half forward line. Mitham goes for the ball, claiming the mark. It's a hand pass, he's slung. Picked up now by Hebbard. Hebbard is a bit slow getting rid of it before he's tackled. Here's a chance for Melbourne. The ball's picked up by Fenton Smith. A long kick up to full forward. Johnson flies. Couldn't mark the ball, he's got it now, but the ball is knocked away from him. Up into the full forward zone, picked up by Rowath. Rowath runs in 10 yards out, he puts his boot to the ball, and through it goes. A goal to Melbourne, kicked by Rowath, and Melbourne go to a 2-goal lead. Melbourne 11-10, 70 6 points. Melbourne 11-10-76. Essendon 9-10-64.
And the Melbourne supporters and the Melbourne stand really come to life now. Right round our broadcast position here. Melbourne 11-10, Essendon 9-10, and Melbourne starting to function a little bit better up forward.
Well, there it was, with just a few minutes to go before three-quarter time. Melbourne leading by 2 goals, and with last use of what appeared to be the scoring end, it looked as though the Demons were going to win comfortably. But let's hear what happens now as we return to Noel Bailey and Ken Dakin just before the three-quarter time siren.
In the ruck, Leake gets the tap, but it's picked up by Barassi. A hand pass across to Case, and Essendon clear, and Melbourne clear, but right into the arms of Reg Burgess, who marks the ball on the Dons' half-forward flank. Burgess putting Essendon forward again. His drop kick, a nice one up towards the full-forward zone. Leake flies, the ball comes right behind the pack, up into the full-forward zone. Evans is racing to it on a very acute angle. He kicks with his left foot over the shoulder. Up into the forward pocket, is a chance for Essendon. Has snapped through, a goal to Essendon, kicked by Shaw. A lovely goal. Straight through for Essendon. As the siren brings the quarter to a close, that goal kicked for by Sewell of Essendon from only about 2 yards out and makes the difference 1 goal. Melbourne 11-10-76, Essendon 10-10-64. I'd say that was a bit lucky, that one.
Oh no, it was fortunate indeed. There was poor old Thorogood going through with the ball. He moved to it, it bounced awkwardly for him, and it came back behind him. Little Sewell came in, brushed him aside, and merely walked towards the goal line and had no trouble in putting it through. But still, there it is. That's football. You've got to have the lucky breaks. You've got to have the luck. When you've got the run of the luck, well, you've got to make the best use of it. And on that occasion, Sewell made sure that he put it through. Well, there it is, at three-quarter time, Melbourne, 1 goal in front. The game's still wide open, and one of the most thrilling grand finals we've seen here for many a long time.
And so the final quarter started, with Melbourne and Essendon both striving for that vital break, Melbourne hanging on to that 6-point lead, and it wasn't until a good 10 minutes into the final quarter that Melbourne were able to make any impression. As we return now to the Melbourne Cricket Ground, it's about 13 minutes into the final quarter, with Melbourne leading 12-12 to 10-10.
The ball bounced in the centre, and Melbourne get hold of it through the agency of Barassi. Down it goes towards centre half forward. Picked up here by Laidlaw. Laidlaw swings the ball towards full forward. Player pushed in the back. Play goes on. Picked up by Johnson. A hand pass to Man. Man kicks a goal for Melbourne, and this one's through. A goal to Melbourne, kicked by Hassaman, brings up Melbourne 12th. A goal to Melbourne, kicked by Mann, and Melbourne's 13th. Melbourne, 13 goals, 12, 13-12, 90 points. They've established now a 20 points lead over Essendon. Essendon 10-10, 70 points.
And play in the final quarter has been in progress about 13 minutes. Now back on the centre. The rucks gather there with Johnson getting a tap for Melbourne. Down it comes. It goes out towards Mithen. Mithen swings Melbourne forward again. There's his kick up towards Laidlaw. Laidlaw's got the run of it here. But it's Essendon coming in through Shaw to gather in the ball. Shaw, a hurried kick, sends the ball way out on the far side of the ground where McLean and Murdoch are having a great tussle. Little McLean wins out of it. He's caught with the ball. He's pushed in the back. Very lucky break there for Melbourne because there were 3 Essendon men to the 1 Melbourne player. And McLean was speared in the back, sent sprawling along the turf, and will take the free for Melbourne out on the far side of the ground. Midfield, with Melbourne leading now by 20 points, 13-12 to 10-10, and it does seem that Melbourne's greater physical strength is taking over. And there's the mark now taken by Barassi. Barassi marking a fair way out, about 50 yards out, but he's a magnificent kick, this fellow. He's brought down some beautiful marks, Barassi, during the day. And here he is now with a possibility of kicking his 4th goal. He's a long way out. There it is. A spiral punt is falling a little bit short and is marked behind the goal line. I think between the goal and behind post, and a single will go up to Melbourne. Melbourne now 13-13, 91 points, 21 points in front. Essendon are 10-10, 70, and the final quarter in progress, 14 and a half minutes.
Sherman kicked off that time for Essendon. He just tried a short pass out towards the back pocket position. The mark has been taken here for Essendon and driven across by Towner. Towner boots it over towards the centre half back position, and here the mark has been taken beautifully for Melbourne by Brian Dixon. Dixon has brought down some beautiful marks. He's only a winger, but quite tall for a winger, but he can get up and he's got a very safe pair of hands. Now Dixon at centre half forward, he's a left footer, will put Melbourne right down into attack because he's usually a pretty long kick. It's a beautiful kick too from Dixon up towards the full forward zone, and there Barassi plays very high again. In front of the pack, Barassi gets up very high, and as he's done twice before today, brought down a beautiful mark right up within scoring distance, and he's only 12 yards out directly in front. Ron Barassi's going back to have this kick. He's limping slightly as he came down after taking the mark, but he's okay. Running in now, 12 yards out directly in front. Barassi runs in. There's the shot at goal from Barassi, and he's made no mistake to bring up his fourth goal, and Melbourne's 14th. Melbourne have raced right away in this final quarter. Melbourne 14 goals, 13 behind, 97 points, to Essendon 10-10-70.
Although Essendon never gave up, they kept on battling it out right through to the final siren. Melbourne were much too strong in the final term, and we return to the Melbourne Cricket Ground to hear the final moments of play.
Melbourne leading 17-13, 115, Essendon 11-12, 78, and only about a minute remaining for play in the final quarter. Now Essendon come forward. There's a kick up towards their centre half forward position. Jones sets himself for the mark and brings it down for Melbourne. Jones, who has played pretty well in the second half of the game. In the first half, I thought that Fraser called the tune at centre half forward, but Jones has come right back into his own in the second half of the game and has been a stumbling block to Essendon at centre half back. Now there's his kick, a good one, out on the far side of the ground, looking for Tunbridge. However, the ball goes over that player's head. In comes Ebers again to get hold of the ball, sends it across to Lydon. Lydon dummies nicely round the opponent, but in doing so, takes the ball over the line to be thrown in on Essendon's left half forward flank. 30 seconds to go, about 30 seconds as the ball comes into play.
And from that throw in now, it's Melbourne with a chance to break away from the pack of players until Essendon comes through. A pass across to Leyden. Leyden tries to kick it off the ground. Coming around the fringe of the boundary line, the Dons come through. Burgess picks up, boots it up towards the forward pocket position. But here, Lord goes for the ball, tumbles across the line, and there's the siren. There's the siren. With Melbourne premiers for 1959, Melbourne defeating Essendon here at the Melbourne Cricket Ground in the grand final. Melbourne 17 goals, 13 behind, 115 points. To Essendon 11-12, 78 points.